What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai style guide, and today I'm here with a full build guide for one of the 3 characters that were added to the pool for you to lose your 50-50 to, and this time it will be for Blade. This video is going to be taking you over everything you do need to know, including his kit and Eidolons. Followed by that will be best Lightcone options, and then best relic sets and Planar ornaments, and finally Mainstat and Substat recommendations, so you do know how to properly build them. This is updated as of 3.2, so the patch where he was added to the ability to customize your 50-50 loss pool too. I already do have one out for Zele as well, as you can already check out. You are now watching the Blade one, and shortly there will be one for Fush one. So stay tuned if you are looking for the Fush one, and the Zele one you can already check out. So I want to say before I get into the video, if you guys find this video helpful in any way, shape or form, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Wars content and guides, and let's get straight into the video. So Blade is a wind character following the path of destruction. His basic attack deals 100% of Blade's attack as wind damage to a target enemy. His skill consumes HP equal to 30% of Blade's max HP to enter Hellscape state. When Hellscape is active, his skill cannot be used, and his damage dealt is increased by 40%. And his basic attack, Shard Sword, is enhanced to Forest of Swords for 3 turns. If his current HP is insufficient, his HP will be reduced to 1 when he uses a skill, and the skill will not regenerate energy, and will also not end the current turn. As it did say, it gives him access to an enhanced basic attack being Forest of Swords, and what that does is consumes HP equal to 10% of Blade's max HP, and deals wind damage equal to the sum of 40% of his attack and 100% of his max HP to a single enemy. In addition, deals wind damage equal to a sum of 16% of Blade's attack and 40% of his max HP to adjacent targets. If his current HP is insufficient, it will be reduced to 1 when using it, and also cannot regenerate skill points. His ultimate sets Blade's current HP to 50% of his max HP and deals wind damage to a single enemy to the sum of 40% of his attack, 100% of his max HP, and 100% of the tally of Blade's HP loss in the current battle. At the same time, deals wind damage to adjacent targets equal to the sum of 16% of his attack, 40% of his max HP, and 40% of the tally HP loss in the current battle. The tally of Blade's HP loss in the current battle is capped at 90% of his max HP and will be reset and reaccumulated after his ultimate has been used. His talent: when Blade sustains damage or consumes his HP, he gains 1 stack of charge, stacking up to 5 times. A max of 1 charge stack can be gained every time he is attacked. When charge reaches maximum, immediately launches a follow-up attack on all enemies, dealing wind damage equal to 44% of Blade's attack plus 110% of his max HP. At the same time, restores Blade's HP by 25% of his max HP. After the follow-up attack, all charges are consumed. Technique: immediately attacks the enemy. After entering combat, consumes 20% of Blade's max HP while dealing wind damage equal to 40% of Blade's max HP to all enemies. If his HP is currently insufficient, it will be reduced to 1 when it is used. For his bonus traces is A2. When Blade's current HP is at 50% of his max HP or lower, incoming healing increases by 20%. His A4. If Blade hits a weakness broken enemy after using Forest of Swords, he will restore HP equal to 5% of his max HP plus 100. And his A6 increases damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack by 20%. For his Eidolons, his E1, Blade's ultimate deals additionally increased damage to a single enemy target, with the increased amount equal to 150% of the tally of Blade's HP loss in the current battle. His E2, when Blade is in the Hellscape state, his crit rate increases by 15%. His E4, when Blade's current HP percentage drops to 50% or lower of his max HP, increases his max HP by 20% and stacks up to 2 times. And his E6, the maximum number of charge stacks is reduced to 4. The follow-up attack triggered by the talent deals additionally increased damage equal to 50% of Blade's max HP. Taking a look at the best Lightcone options for Blade, his best one overall is going to be his own signature Lightcone, which gives the wearer 18% increase to crit rate and also increases max HP by 18% as well. When the wearer is attacked or consumes their own HP, they get a 24% increase in damage and is removed after the wearer uses an attack. So very simple Lightcone. Him getting a 18% increase to crit rate is nice, so he can crit more consistently and let you build him easier. As he's also a HP scaling, mainly crit based DPS. So him actually getting some crit stats from this is really nice, and on top of that he also gets an increase to his max HP, where he is practically not even just primarily, just all an HP scaler. You don't want to focus onto the parts of his kit that focus on attack because they are scaling significantly less. He does dual scale, but HP scaling is what he does best, so you don't really want to look for attack buffs and such. And so this Lightcone giving you max HP is really good. So 18% crit rate and 18% max HP is very good. And as Blade does consume his HP every time he does attack, and he also does want to constantly be getting hit, you are practically always going to have a free 24% damage increase for your actual damage overall, which is going to make him do more damage than he normally would. So 80% crit rate makes him easier to build, lets you crit more consistently. 18% max HP increase is going to make him more tanky and also do more damage as he scales off HP. And you are practically getting a free permanent 24% damage increase. So overall, his signature Lightcone is far and none his best. Another actually really good option is Mire's signature Lightcone, which increases the wearer's max HP by 18% and incoming healing by 20. When using skill or ult split, consumes HP equal to 6% of the wearer's max HP and increases damage dealt by this attack by 30%. If the effect's consumed HP is greater than 500, the damage additionally increases by 30%, and if current HP is not sufficient, it will reduce it down to 1. So again, 18% is as much as the max HP as the signature does give, so this is nice that it gives you the same amount. On top of that, it's going to give you a increased incoming healing to keep Blade alive even longer. And so this next part is going to be something that you will notice. It's not something you're going to get significantly very often that's going to game change what it does. But the times you now use his skill to put him into Hellscape mode, thanks to this Lightcone actually consuming the HP, it gives him 2 charges. Same thing with the ultimate, it will give him actually 2 charges. So it actually is able to accelerate your follow-up attack charges a little bit. It's not super significant, but it is still really good. And you will be consuming over 500 HP, so you're practically getting the full damage buff you would get, up to a 32%, up to a 60% increase to that damage dealt. So that's even more damage that the signature actually does provide. Situationally, Mire's Lightcone can actually outperform Blades himself, but overall, his actual signature Lightcone is a lot more consistent, plus the crit stats is really nice. So because of everything it does provide, Mire's Lightcone is also a very good option. Another option I do want to mention, it's not as good as the other 2 signatures, but yielding the signature Lightcone is also not a bad idea. Just because of the main first part, the second part is kind of useless because it focuses on attack, and as I mentioned, you want to practically ignore that attack. It will, buff it a bit, but like that's not something you're going to notice. But it's because the first part of the Lightcone greatly increases the wearer's chance of getting attacked and increases crit damage by 36%. Just for that alone, it's going to further increase the times he does get hit, which is going to let you actually charge your follow-up attack even faster, because Blade does not actually have any sources of taunt or increasing chances of getting hit. Not even his signature Lightcone helps him with that, so this giving you that is going to be really good. And you're also getting a free 36% increase to your crit damage, so that's going to help you a lot more when you do crit. So just because of those 2 alone, getting more hits on Blade is going to be great, and then free crit damage is why it's actually a usable option. Another really good option is the Ninja Breaker Sound Hunt free-to-play Lightcone, which increases the wearer's max HP by 12%, and when losing or restoring this unit's HP, increases crit damage by 18% for 2 turns and can only trigger once per turn. And at S5, it becomes 24% increase to max HP with a 36% increase to crit damage. So a big 24% increase to max HP, that's higher than his signature option. And as he is going to constantly be draining his HP, or also getting some HP if you do use his follow-up attack, that also is going to be able to be applied when you are healing with your actual healer. You're going to be able to have a free 36% crit damage out throughout the entire battle. So it's just very simple to understand. Max HP is going to increase your overall damage. Crit damage is going to increase anytime you do crit. So it's giving you both stats that Blade does really like, which is why it's another great option. Another decent option is a Secret Bow, which increases damage dealt by the wearer by 20%. The wearer also deals an extra 20% of damage to enemies whose current HP percentage is equal to or higher than the wearer's current HP percentage. And at S5, that becomes 40% for both. So a free 40% damage increase regardless, and it becomes 80% if you do actually deal damage to enemies that have more HP, which is going to be very common as Blade is going to very often have very low HP. There still could be potential times where you don't actually have the second part of the Lightcone active, which is going to lower its performance by a decent amount, but for the most part you're going to be able to actually have it up, so it becomes a free 40% damage dealt increase for all types of damage you are dealing, which is why it's another solid option. For the best relic sets for Blade, he doesn't really have any other 4-piece option except for one, and that is 4-piece of the max HP set. 2-piece provides 12% max HP, and the 4-piece, when the wearer is hit or has their HP consumed by an ally or themselves, they get an 8% increase to crit rate for 2 turns and stacks up to 2 times. So 2-piece giving you max HP increased by 12% is really good on its own. It's going to increase your overall damage. And the 4-piece gives you up to a 16% increase to crit rate, which is very easy as Blade constantly will be consuming his own HP. So it's going to practically just be a free 16% increase to crit rate throughout the battle, which is going to be great for building him because it's going to let you allocate a lot more to crit damage and also more HP rolls, because now you're getting 16% from this plus any other sources. So this actual 4-piece giving you 16% crit rate, it's going to be really good. 12% max HP, great. 16% crit rate, very good, making it the best in slot he does have. And then past that, it is just combining 2-piece 2-pieces, so he doesn't really have many options of those either. So you could combine something like 2-piece Scholar for the 8% crit rate and combine that with 2-piece of the max HP set for the 12% max HP, or 2-piece of either of those and do 2-piece of the wind set for the 10% wind damage. And that practically is all the options he has. So again, 4-piece best in slot is going to be the max HP set. Can't do that, then 2-piece Scholar with 2-piece of the max HP set, or 2-piece of one of those with 2-piece Eagle. For the best Planar ornaments, the best in slot is going to be the Bone Ornament, which 2-piece increases the wearer's max HP by 12%, and when the wearer's max HP is 5,000 or higher, increases the wearer and their memo sprite's crit damage by 28%. He doesn't have a memo sprite, so you ignore that part, but it gives you a 12% max HP, so that is going to be good. And a well-built blade is going to have way more than 5,000 HP, so it just becomes a free 28% increase to your crit damage. So it's just a free ornament that is going to be giving you free 12% max HP and free 28% crit damage. 2 stats that Blade does very much like, so it is his best in slot. And for the next options, you can actually use either or, but both Rudolin Arena and Inertial Subtle are both good. Rudolin Arena gives 8% crit rate, and once the wearer does have 70% or higher crit rate, damage up by basic attack and skill increases by 20%. Blade is most commonly in battle going to be using his basic attack with the enhanced basic attack, so that getting a 20% increase to damage is good. And you're going to want to have more than 70% crit rate on your blade, so it just becomes a free effect, and this also gives you 8% crit rate, so it does help with that as well. So this one is actually buffing your main damage source you're going to be using, because again, his basic attack is what used a lot more. So this is going to be the one buffing your main source of damage for the most part, because basic attack is going to be significantly more used. But Inertial Subtle also does work fantastic, because this will be buffing 2 sources he can use, because the thing with Rudolin Arena is it also buffs skill, but he doesn't do damage with the skill, while Inertial Subtle gives the same 8% crit rate, and this time it's when 50% or higher crit rate, which is even easier. Damaged up by the wearer's ultimate and follow-up attack increases by 15%. So with Rudolin, you can use basic attack, but you can't use the skill, but with Salsado, you can use the ultimate and follow-up attack. So this is going to be increasing the damage from your ultimate, which does good damage, and the follow-up attack, which does the best source of damage technically. The only thing is, again, the enhanced basic attack is the attack you're going to be using the most, which is why I personally recommend Rudolin Arena more, just because you use the basic attack significantly more. The ultimate and the follow-up attack may hit harder, but the actual basic attack will be used more. That's why I recommend Rudolin Arena, but if you have great Salsado pieces, feel free to use it, it will still be great. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, you want to do crit rate or crit damage corresponding to which one you need more. For the feet, you can do either HP percent or speed. You would be doing speed if you are going to set up a -1 speed build, and you would use HP percent if you are doing a base speed build, pairing him with a 160 hyper speed character, so Sunday, Bronia, or Sparkle. For the orb, you want to do wind damage, and for the link rope, you want to do HP percent. For the substats, first, if you are doing a -1 speed build, you want to focus on getting enough substat rolls to get Blade above breakpoint and also get enough speed to where he is 1 higher than your actual action forward giving harmony support. So if you have something like a 139 or 140 speed Sunday, you want to get Blade to about 140, 141. Whatever is 1 to 2 speed higher than that actual character, you want to get that -1 speed set up on. If you are not doing that and you're doing a base speed build, then you can completely ignore that speed part, and then for both parts, after that would be focusing on crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent. So your generic rolls, but instead of attack percent, it is HP percent. So again, if you are doing a -1 speed build, focus on getting him above breakpoint, and then actually getting him to that 1 speed higher than someone like Sunday, Bronia, or whatever you're using. And if you're not actually doing that and you're doing a base speed build, you ignore that, and then past that would be crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent. Now for the team idea / team building options for Blade. You do thankfully now, with the game being in 3.2, have a lot more options than you did back then. But a standard team is usually going to be running Blade and then a actual action advanced given character, so Sunday for a -1 speed or hyperspeed build. Blade will always also want a sustain, and one of his best sustains is still to this day Luocha. You can also just use Linksha instead if you have her. She's fantastic for that as well. If you have Gallagher built, you can also just opt to go ahead and use Gallagher there as well. You can also use Lynx if she does sustain enough. It's really what you do have as the best sustain. You want to use the one as the best healing potential, just so Blade isn't constantly dying. So just use whatever you do have that has the best healing potential. So Luocha is fantastic. Another thing about Linksha specifically is she can also help you do damage in the battle as well, so that's why she's actually a really good option as well. And then the last slot would be another actual Harmony character, so a fantastic one now. One of the best supports for him is actually Chibi. Chibi's fantastic with all 3 HP scalers. So one of the best standardized hyper carry team for Blade would look like this. And then you would just adjust accordingly. Maybe you don't have Chibi, but you have RMC freed. You can very much use RMC as well. RMC is also fantastic with Blade. And you get another source of action advance with this, especially if you're pairing with another one. If you don't have Sunday, but you have a hyperspeed Sparkle, you can go ahead and use her as well. So Sparkle at 160 speed would be good. But then you would have to be doing a base speed Blade because Sparkle will not work otherwise. And if you don't have Sparkle and you have someone like Brony instead, you could do a -1 speed or hyperspeed Brony build as well. So you have a lot of options there. And then now with Castris, you can actually use Blade as a really good catalyst for Castris as well. Running a actual dual DPS team that more so would look like this. You want Blade to actually still do some decent damage, so Tribi and then your last slot being a sustain would be the actual way to go. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and put Luocha, but again, in this case, you'd be using your best sustain you do have. So you can actually run a Castris Blade dual DPS setup that would look like this primarily. Blade is going to be doing some damage and also generating the HP drain for Castris, Castris being the main output you do have on the team. Tribi is going to be able to buff both of them, and the Luocha is going to be the one sustaining the team. And then again, you would adjust accordingly. Let's say you don't have Tribi and you actually want to just mainly do damage with Castris, then you can run someone like RMC instead. Or you still want Blade to be buffed, then you can run a actual Harmony support that still will buff both, such as someone like Ruan Mei. You can do that. It's going to be significantly weaker than Tribi, but it's an option. If you don't have Luocha specifically, again, as I mentioned, just run your best sustain that has the best healing potential. So if you have Linksha, you can use her, Gallagher, and so on. Yep, that is the full build guide for Blade. Once again, hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of style content and guides. I'll see you later. Peace out.